Hello, folks. We are sponsored by Next Gen Power. If you don't know what Next Gen Power is about, they provide green energy solutions powered by the sun. So you can save money and reduce your carbon footprint in doing so. Now, with rising costs on fuel, we're all feeling the pinch at the moment. You can take control of your monthly costs in your home or business and save up to 70% on your energy bills while doing so. So check it out, their website at nextgenpower.uk, get a free quote, and hopefully we can save you some money. Hello and welcome to the He Doesn't Want a Podcast. My first guest today is Paul Trainor from Crumlin Star. Paul, how are you, mate? All good?
Good, Gary. Great. Apart from the result yesterday, I'm pretty good, yes.
Well, that'll bring me in my first point. Just asking about the league form and how your seasons went so far in the league.
A wee bit slow, Gary, at the start, so we were, coming back to the start of the season. But since sort of way Christmas time, we went on a run of about 15 or 16 games unbeaten.
Yeah.
So we were, and then we came up, about 4 weeks ago, we came up against a stubborn Rosario side who came up to the cricket, had a great game plan, scored their goal, and to be honest, they were very good at game managing the game, sort of way.
Yeah.
The rest of the day, we had plenty of possession, we had plenty of chances, but in all, Rosario beat us, and then we went on another little run again there, right up the yesterday, where we played our Rangers, Drummond with a tough week last week, so we had Gary,
Yeah.
with 3 games, actually from Saturday to Saturday was 4 games, so we had, and we got 9 points out of 12, and to be honest, yesterday we didn't particularly, didn't particularly deserve anything out of the game. Tul's team was, they wanted it yesterday here. I don't know where it was lack of tiredness or whatever yesterday, but there was particularly no excuses from my side of it yesterday. Tul's team they've improved big time. They've a couple of good kids playing for them, and they were very good yesterday, to be honest.
It's getting that time of the season, you just said, you to play Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So that's how it becomes so tough. And then you can get results, you can get off days because there's so little time in between games to even think about the next game. So it's hard, but I know you're kind of used to it, but it still is tough, isn't it?
Gary, people say you get used to it. It's a really, really hectic schedule. So it is. Yes, when you're going through all these sort of games, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, that means you're getting good runs in the cups. So we are, you're getting very good runs in the cups. Gary, see the league this year. I've been duking at, the league this morning. The top 3 teams all get beat yesterday. Rough Rain, who's flying, the Drew. So, drawing, you're dropping 2 points. The Mac were beat yesterday too.
Yeah.
So they were. And I think the team on the move now seems to be East. But Gary, I still personally think there's 4 or 5 teams that can still win that league.
Yeah.
It's really, really tight. And if, certain teams are going to run out of games and certain teams are going to have, like ourselves and like the East, are going to have heavy schedules over the next lot of weeks, and Rockfrail, they're going to have a heavy schedule too. And it's ever who's, if you put a lot of points on the board, you'll not be too far off, wouldn't it?
Looking at the schedules as well, everyone seems to be playing each other as well, which will obviously some teams may drop off when that happens more regularly, and then other teams will start to come to the fore.
Well, I think we started off last Saturday, Gary, before we played them 4 games there. I think we started off in 9th or 10th. And I think yesterday, even after getting beat yesterday, I still think we're in 3rd place.
Yeah.
I think we have I think we've played 18 games. I think we've still 8 league games left.
Yeah.
The Max and top, I think we have 2 games in hand them. Rough Rain have 2 games in hand on us. And Ace have a game in hand on us. But as I say, it's ever who's sort of like puts her own games together. The 3 points. It's no good drawing, Gary, because you may as well. It's as bad as getting beat. Drawing, you're dropping the 2 points. But it's getting interesting.
I know, and then I take it you have you obviously have a break on Tuesday night. You have a big game Tuesday night, the Intermediate Cup final. So it's hard to juggle both things, isn't it? A cup run and then trying to go for the league. But has it been here before, an Intermediate Cup final? So I'm sure your boys are looking forward to it.
That was a great experience, Gary. The last time in 2019, playing at Windsor. I'm with your league. It's sort of way totally changed around. there's very few. I think the boys were saying there's only 3 amateur league teams that's ever won the Intermediate Cup.
Yeah.
Has been Nat Bruda when they were an amateur league team, Rough Ryland, and ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, and now all of a sudden we've got 2 teams from the amateur league in the final, which is unreal. You know, but here it's a fantastic achievement for both clubs. You know.
Yeah, it's well, three of those 4 teams will be in the last 4 or 5 years. Winning it yourselves in 2019, Ralph Ryland, and then yourselves are Plunkett on Tuesday. So it just goes to show the strength of the amateur league in general at the moment, like throughout the intermediate divisions.
Gary, as I was saying, tell you when you interviewed me during the pandemic,
Yeah,
the standard of amateur league players and the standard of amateur league clubs, one, all their facilities is top notch. Now, if not, they're getting there.
yeah,
You know, everybody's getting there now. For years, all of we hadn't got grounds and things like this, but hopefully in the next 5 to 10 years that everybody's starting to get grounds. The coaching, I never hear, you know, I've been at both ends. I've been in the Irish League on a couple of occasions, as you know, and come here to tell you, the the coaching that's getting given to amateur league players now is top whack. So it is. You know,
yeah,
there's a lot of good players in the amateur league, and I personally still think, and I would be a wee bit, not, I just think some is a wee bit of a snobbery from certain Irish League clubs.
yeah,
Looking, what do you think about such and such Stewart plays at, say, for instance, Ford plays for Plunkett, plays for the Star, plays for the Mac, plays for Reese. Yes, me go out and watch them. There's good players in the amateur league.
yes, definitely.
No, most definitely. But and the other side of the coin, Gary, is there's a lot of clubs just there's a lot of lads now just like playing for their own local clubs, i.e.,
Yeah,
because they're being coached well enough. You know, when I was younger, I'm a hell of a lot younger and all these older newsboys. The Irish League was a big attraction. Maybe
yeah,
just not as much now, Gary. You know, because boys are getting well coached. They've got good facilities, and you know, things is sort of, as I say, 2 teams in the amateur league and the intermediate cup finals unreal. So that sets the standard, you know. And amateur league teams are getting good runs in the Irish Cup. And I'll always say that amateur league, the top teams in the amateur league, if not, are better than Championship 2 by a country made and a good lot of Championship 1 teams.
yeah. And then obviously St Albert Plunkett, they're only new in the intermediate division, but what they've started to find the last couple of years is because of the strength of their youth team, they're able to keep players who maybe would have went to a higher level and stuff. So they're a strong side in their own right. Have you had a chance to watch them in any way, or do you know what's about them yourself?
I've watched them in the semi-final myself, Gary, and I've had them watch on 2 occasions. Apart from that, you know, as I said, the schedule has been unreal. It's been, you know, horrendous over the last couple of weeks. Where I had to send some because we've been playing Tuesdays and Thursdays, and as I say, Plunkett's been in the same boat. They had been playing Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays. I went over to the semi-final, so it did. And it was a good game. You know,
Yeah,
it was a good game. It was a big crowd. Uncle probably big crowd over here on Tuesday night with their academy. You know, everything's in place for Plunkett, Gary. So it is the structure, everything they got the academy. Here they're trying to make inroads in their ground and things like that. But on the semi final night, they're excited like to play football. So they do. They get the
yeah,
ball down and they're full of confidence because they're winning football matches every week, Gary. You know, and they've
yeah,
got good players in their team, and they've a few, and I wouldn't say old lads, but a few lads I would know from a few years ago when we were at Cliftonville, the likes of Jody and me and Stevie O'Neill and things like that. But they've a lot of good players in their team.
yeah. And it come the final. Obviously, you've been here before, and in finals in general, you have a lot of experience. Do you think that'll help you come Tuesday night, or is a final just about who turns up on the night?
People say, Gary, people say here, you know, if you have a wee bit of experience, it helps. I just think here, if you know, on the night, if you apply yourself on the night, you know, yes, does it help? Were you there before? It's a big occasion, so it is because you go in and you're getting treated like a real footballer in the intermediate cup, as in your passes and your polo shirts and your new gear or whatever. You're going over to Windsor and you're getting treated like a top class footballer. Some of the boys at Plunkett would have done that with their Irish League clubs. Some of the boys mightn't have done it. we have been there, and I think there's 8 or 9 of my team that's in the squad that won it in 2019. So,
Yeah,
yes, I would say yes here. The wee bit of experience made help, but is it a big factor? I don't really know, you know.
yeah. And then obviously after Tuesday night, then you turn your attentions back to the league. So, what's your schedule like after? And
Obviously, we play Tuesday night, Gary. We've no game on Thursday night. We play Derry on Saturday. And then we're a Tuesday and Thursday again. But then we're in the semi-final at Clarence too.
that's right, yeah,
So we'll play Drummond. We'll play there. But I don't think that's the 9th of May. So I don't play them. And I think Drummond beat Plunkett in the last round, late, very, very late on. I think Plunkett were winning
yeah.
1-0, coming 90 odd minutes. And I think Drummond, who we played last Tuesday night, Gary, and I can't understand why they're second from bottom in the league.
Yeah,
They're not a bad side at all.
yeah.
They gave us
So
all they wanted last week. So look here, over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I think with the cup, we rest on Thursday night. We're back on Tuesday or Saturday in the league. Tuesday, Thursday in the league, and Saturday, and then I think we'll go to the cup again. So the next 2 weeks is as busy as it has been.
it's this crazy stage of the season as well, where everything just sort of intensifies, where you're going for 3 trophies potentially, and you can end up with 3, you can end up with none. So it's just that crazy stage of the season where everything just really just you go from one thing to the other. And how's your squad looking going forward? Are you happy enough for?
We're happy enough. Yes, you would like to get them an extra 48 hours or something like that as a rest, Gary. But the boys have been through this before. Now they're here. I think the majority of the boys will be down to Jordanstown this morning for them ice baths and things like that,
Yeah,
something different. And I haven't been able to train, Gary, to tell you the truth.
yeah,
One, I don't like accepting it. I don't. I would like to train, but after playing Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you know, we might go in tomorrow night. I don't know. I don't know. We'll
yeah,
see. Well, I don't like bringing the boys out of the house every night of the week, sort of thing.
yeah,
Well, I like keeping the waves and the week birds not happy, sort of too. What I'm saying. It's easy for me. I'm a wee bit older, but as I say, coming in from work, all the young lads in here have got their kids and I haven't seen them for a couple of days.
yeah.
So happy house, a happy footballer, so it is.
Well, mate, I wish you best of luck. If you have a lot on the go, and thanks very much for giving up your time because I know how busy you are. You've just even thinking about your schedule makes my head spin. So,
I'm going to
thanks very much.
get wise and change here. I'm down for a couple of beers.
Well, that's you need to fit that in as well. So you do.
Here, that's crucial. That's crucial. Team planning.
Yeah, well, you may have a few drinking sessions coming up over the next couple of weeks, maybe some celebrations. So I wish you best of luck, mate. The potential for a travel there, it's be unbelievable. And if you were able to do that as a club, and I wish you best of luck.
Gary, thanks very much, son. Here, and hopefully here, I might see you at the match on Tuesday night. I don't know where have you a game on Tuesday night.
With a game on Tuesday night, only maybe we'll make it over. So well,
Well, here,
I was
hopefully
looking forward to it too.
Hopefully I'll be talking to you someday next week.
Brilliant, mate. Thanks very much. Cheers.
All right, cheerio, all best.
Speak there. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
I'm here with Ciaran Caldwell from Crumlin United. Tull, how you keeping, mate? All good?
Yes, mate, all good. Obviously, big game this week, the semi-final. And then we're on obviously a run of I think we've won 3 in a row against Cumber, Derry, and Crumlin Star. So we're going into it with obviously a bit with massive respect for Ballinhinch. We know it's not going to be easy, but we're going into it fairly confident.
Do you think the semi-final is the focus on the semi-final and boys obviously playing for their places in the team? It's kind of helped you in the league because I'm sure a couple of weeks ago you probably would have thought you were nowhere near league contention, but you have snuck up there over the last couple of weeks where you're probably in the mix now as well.
See, to be fair, I've looked at it myself, and the draws have sort of been the downfall for us. I think it's 4 of the draws we conceded after 85 minutes thereafter from winning position. So, we maybe had 3 of those held on, we'll be right up there. But it was about progression this year, and we were looking drastic in improvement. And to be fair to the players, I can count on one hand the amount of bad performances we've had. So it's testing to them how good and how consistent they've been.
Yeah, obviously last season you were a wee bit further down the table. This season you're now fighting towards the top of the table. You have a cup semi final, League Two, the Irish Cup run you've had. It's been a really good season for you overall.
It has. We sat down obviously with the new coaching staff. We're poached from your club, Darren
Stole
and
them on me.
Shea, and then obviously Daniel Hanna coming in, and we sat down with the players, and I think it was around maybe July, and told them the expectations of how we're trying to be as professional as we can. And if they didn't want to buy into it, there was no point sticking around. And I think it's probably the best thing we've done, because the onus is on them now. It's not on the staff. Where before I felt like it was, when things were going wrong, we're being pushed back in our direction.
Yeah.
I think the players have took ownership, and to be fair, we're still relatively young, so there's a lot of lads there now a bit more experience after 2 or 3 years at this level, because it's far from easy.
Yeah, you've Shea and Darren in there who are great coaches. They can testify to that. And then Daniel Hanna, obviously a great player, and then knows a lot about football with his career he's had. So you've changed the whole setup in the club. Now you have an atmosphere now where you feel like you compete against these top teams. Like I know you've went and beat the Mac this year. You've beat Crumlin Star there on Saturday, which is teams where maybe Crumlin United notoriously sort of slipped up against.
Yeah, look, I don't think in our time in the Premier, certainly since I've been there, we'd never went to Immaculata and won. That was something we did this year, and in my whole time, it's something that's sort of hung over me. Obviously, I know Chu and Eddie quite well on a personal basis, and a lot of the players, so it's something that's hung over that we've never beat them. So on Saturday, that was nice for us to beat them. I think we've had a couple of draws, but ultimately it was about getting over the line for us on Saturday, and we did that. So we did, which was very pleasing.
So all the focus now turns to Ballyhinch on Thursday. Have you had a chance to look at them, or do you know much about them? Or
I've obviously asked a couple of people in that division about them. I know from when I first came into Crumlin, they were one of the top teams in the division. I think COVID sort of put a stop to that. Players' age and players moved away and whatever, and their team looks a lot younger. But they've still 4 or 5 players that played in a side there that was top of our division before COVID hit, and obviously I think Minto's playing himself again, so they'll have plenty about them. We need to go in there showing them the utmost respect, or if we go in with any way, they'll sense it and they'll be all over us.
do you think the experience you've had from the Irish Cup run, I know it obviously wasn't a semi-final, but the atmosphere around the Larne game, it almost felt like it was a semi-final or finals you're going into, because it was such a massive occasion for the club. Do you think that
Yeah,
experience will help the boys come Thursday night?
I think it will. I think the players tasted what it was like in January against Larne. The build up, obviously, the press contacting some of them, whatever, and that's why you play. For moments like that, and for us, Crumlin haven't been in a final in 22 years, first team. So that's added pressure for the boys, no doubt. Especially the local lads, but if they can get into that final, they're giving themselves to write themselves into Crumlin's history. That ultimately that's what they want to do.
Yeah, from your experience as well, I'm sure it's not about the best team on a semi-final or a final. It's about whoever sort of turns up and just gets the job done on the night.
Yeah, it is. They obviously come with a game plan. They're probably trying to stifle us a bit or whatever. But so what's the semi-finals, the FA Cup at the weekend?
Yeah,
It's edgy. Everyone's nervous, and it's it's my first semi-final as Crumlin's manager. So obviously you're lying awake at night thinking, going, what if? So there is a wee bit of added pressure to it, no doubt.
do you think it once the semi-finals over and done with your remaining league fixtures, you still have a lot to say, and where the league title goes this year in the Premier? Do you still think is in the mix, or?
I don't. I think we've too much to do. To be fair, I don't think we'll be anywhere near first. But I set the targets for us that was to be in the top 4 this year,
Yeah.
top 4 and win a cup. We can do that, and it would be massive for us. And they also with the target of getting to the 5th round of the Irish Cup. We got there, got Larne, so everything's going in the right direction at Crumlin. But it's the players buying into it, and they know themselves. Saturday proved it. The last 3 Saturdays have proved it. If they turn up with the right mentality, they're more than a match for anyone in that division. It's just, can they get the consistency to be the top team, and that's what Crumlin Star or Freyland have. They consistently turn up.
Yeah, and then regardless of how you finish this season, is there definitely going in the right direction? So it's all positive, Crumlin, going forward.
Yeah, it is obviously. on Saturday for me, there was the first time I put the 3 young lads in the squads from a starting, and the 3 of them were outstanding. And I went home and thought to myself, I've done that 6 weeks ago, where we would be. It was just apprehension of putting 3 18-year-olds out there together. So there's plenty of talent in around Crumlin. Andy Mooney's been absolutely unbelievable. I think he scored 26, 27 goals. Nathan Waters has drove the team on from the middle of the park. Scott, the captain, but there's other players, who have really, really stepped up that maybe on the fringes for a year or two, like Jimbo's played centre half or right back all season.
Yeah.
Maybe a year and a half ago or two, he'd made 15 appearances, 9, 10, 11 in sub, where now he's became a mainstay in the team. So I think that the players now have really took ownership of it all.
Well, mate, you have a busy schedule like most managers, so I wish you best of luck on Thursday and your remaining games rest of the season.
No problem at all, mate. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Cheers. Speak to you soon.
No problem.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
This episode is sponsored by Late Year Sports Therapy. Especially at this time of season, games come thick and fast. You're playing Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I'm sure the bodies are sore, guys. So get yourself booked in the Late Year Sports Therapy for sports massage, helps with injury prevention, even injury rehab, preparing yourself for next season. So give them a shout, contact them on their Instagram page or their Facebook, or take a note of the number attached. I'm here with Barry Baggley, who is the manager of Rosario Youth Club. Barry, how's things? First season in the Premier Division. How have you found it?
Tough, Gary. Definitely a step up. I mean, no disrespect to 1A teams, like some good sides in that as well, but the old game last year, you're sort of getting into it, fancying you win. Every game this year, basically, it's been like we've been getting in as underdogs, probably 90% of the games, and like you're getting no freebies. Every single game, hearts in your throat, and it's 90. Like you're not coming away from a game where you've went, geez, I was comfortable today. Every game is tough.
Yeah, it just goes to show the strength of the Premier Division in general, and it goes to show the strength as well. There's not many teams could probably win it this year as well.
Some quality sides. I mean, Star, Ralph East Belfast, McCaul, Cumber, even the teams that's in around the bottom at the minute are like Shankill, Larnaca, and McGee. They're all really good sides. And every time we play them, it's been no walk in the park. It's been everybody's giving each other a game, but it's good because you've seen the results even in Saturday. I think Larnaca or somebody went away to Ralph and got a draw. Shows the strength of the league from top to bottom.
Yeah, and then your first season in the league, what was your expectations going into the season, and if you met those or exceeded those expectations?
Yeah, Guy. I mean, we had set our own goals, and our goal was to get to 28 points. The most our clubs ever achieved was 27 points. Oh, sorry. The most our clubs ever achieved is 28 points. So we were hoping to better 28 points. And we achieved that. We're, I think, 6 games to spur. So, that was massive for us, getting that points tally. A bonus was getting the Border Cup semi-final. Now, on the night, we didn't do ourselves justice. Now, all credit to Drummond were excellent on the night and comfortably beat us. But to get a good run in the cup as well was an added bonus.
Yeah, and then your recent form until Saturday there, you had some big wins there, beating Crumlin Star, Rosario, Crumlin United, all teams up around the top. So it's sort of been up and down, but looking at the results, it's been a couple of runs where went with a couple of losses and then a few wins. So how do you get that consistency going forward next season?
Hopefully the boys have learned from it this year. And I mean, those games that we lost, I mean, I think we've lost 4 games this season in the last minute. So that's naivety in the sense that our game management can improve. Our boys may be switching off. So with a load of young lads in the team, which as the season was on, have learned from it, our game management improved. Like we had conceded 10 goals from corners earlier in the season, Guy. And we worked on that and worked hard in the training field. And that's massively improved over the last 6-7 games. So I'm thinking hopefully just getting into next season, we've learned from our mistakes. We'll take away all the lessons from this year and just build on it, really.
I suppose it's like you said as well, there's such a massive difference between 1A and the Premier. Like obviously 1A is such a tough league to get out of, but when you're talking about the level throughout the whole Premier Division, it's so tight that you are having to sort of do a lot of learning, but you do it on the pitch during the game, and when you're losing late, it's part of the learning process. But obviously, it can be frustrating and tough at times.
Yeah, and I mean, what we've learned, probably one of the step ups when we spoke about this at length for our coaching staff, was maybe at 1A, teams that last 5 minutes of one each became a cagey affair and maybe settled for draws. And both teams happy with a draw. Like what we've learned from a Premier is like the top teams, all teams actually, not the top teams, just play the 95 minutes. Like they're trying to win games later on, and they're trying to even go for the win. Where I found last year, maybe a couple of times we were drawn, and the last 5 minutes was just playing out and through the motions. Like both teams happy with it. But we've learned here, like teams are pushing right to the last minute, and that's something we had to learn quickly. And unfortunately, we're on the wrong side of a few results, Guy. But we've improved as the season goes on, as it says, and hopefully we'll continue to improve and learn from it.
A few many games left between now and the end of the season.
Just down to 3, Guy. Now the reserves, they've 7, so they've quite a bit of games to go there. Going well. We've got 3 tough games with Drummond on Thursday, East on Saturday away, and then Crumlin Star home next Tuesday. So 3 humdingers to finish the season.
Yeah, I don't like you said, but it wouldn't matter who you're playing in the Premier Division. It's always going to be tough. So it is.
And to be fair, Guy, like it's an old cliche, but when we played the so-called higher teams in the league, I was probably more not as nervous getting into them as it was the teams that's maybe below us, because the boys were up for them games. I was just trying to get them up for the other games and making sure they were tuned in and making sure they were concentrating. But like, I can't speak highly enough of our lads, Guy, to be in the Premier first year, be sitting 6th, 7th, get into the last 3 games, and a bit your arm off at the start of the season, fit.
Yeah, and then going into next season, then obviously you've exceeded the expectations this season. What's the aim's going to be for next season?
Just to be better than the season before. Like that's always our sort of ethos and sort of our game plan when we sit down at the end of every season, guys. It's just right, can we better what we did the year before? So, like, depending on what points we finish on, the aim next year is can we better that? Can we go an or step in a cup? We've got the semi-final now. We've got the last 16 in another. So it's about the progression of the club is right. Can we now get to the final? Can we now maybe finish in the top 6? Can we try and push them the established order now? I mean, you're league in the Premier can we get in the mix for them? It's going to be tough, but that's what makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, it's funny because the last time I spoke to you a couple of years ago, it was all about trying to get out of 1A. Now it's now trying to compete in the Premier Division and compete for cup competitions. It just goes to show what the difference a couple of years in football can do.
No, absolutely. And like as I say, from my experience in the Amateur League over years, 1A is probably one of the tough divisions to get out of, Guy. Like every year there's 4 or 5 really. I know Dramar's run away with this year, but that's probably an anomaly, really, an exception to the rule. So to get out of that was a massive release, especially after what happened with COVID and all. But as I say, getting into this year, see if we'd have finished there bottom, Guy, I'd have been delighted, honestly. And I'm not just saying that to be flippant. I'd have been delighted. So to finish where we are, all credit to the boys. Like they deserve it. They've worked hard every session, and every single game they've emptied the tank for us, which is all you can ask.
Exactly. Well, here, mate, 3 games remaining. Best of luck in those games, and best of luck next season as well.
Cheers, Guy. I really appreciate it, mate. Thanks very much.
Thanks, mate. Bye. I'm here with Brew McCaul from Immaculata. Brew, how's things, mate? You all good?
Yes, mate. Can't complain.
How has your season went this season, the Premier? I know it's your 3rd year managing, 3rd year with Immaculata.
This is the 2nd full one. Sort of got back from Australia, did about 11 games, and then the pandemic came, and then last year was the first full season. Good season overall. This season started all right up until Christmas, pretty much. Sort of we'd only really we'd lost in a few penalty shootouts up to Christmas. League form was okay in terms of we'd won pretty much fair amount of our games, and then after Christmas it sort of went a wee bit to the wayside. We obviously lost in the Steel and Sun semi-final in penalties. We lost in the Border in penalties. Can't remember how we lost in the Clarence, but we went out of the intermediate probably on the Saturday before the Steel and Sun semi-final, bit of squad rotation. So up until Christmas, the season had went pretty well. Obviously losing in penalty shootouts is a tough way to go out. Disappointed probably not to go through in those games. But yeah, then the league form just sort of fell away a wee bit, and then we sort of struggled, and we've been up and down since after Christmas. Probably a bit of attrition in terms of injuries, but sort of what everyone deals with. Not really any excuses in that regard.
Yeah, do you think that the Steel Suns and the Border Cup semi-final losses just took a wee bit of a hit on the boys mentally, maybe, or?
Um, it can sort of knock the stuffing out of you. You know what I mean? Obviously we were probably big favourites in the Steel Suns against Dunmurry Rack. We beat them earlier in the season, and we played them at Larne, big occasion. Obviously, you're probably thinking, the boys probably thinking to themselves, look, this is a major opportunity, a team we've already beat. And it sort of just, it knocked the stuffing out of you. I don't know in terms of mindset and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We sort of try to go a wee bit game to game and things like that, but maybe it did have have some sort of impact. I think we actually had on the lead up to Christmas, a lot of teams sort of did, is that with games cancelled, and then that sort of just scuppered us a wee bit, I think, in terms of trying to get momentum back, and then the ice and stuff like that there, and it sort of impacted training and things like that for us anyway. Being able to get training sessions on and just long periods with no games and stuff like that, I think that definitely impacted us. And then just not playing well enough, really, we're sitting top of the league at the minute, obviously, which probably is a bit of a false reading in the terms of teams to be caught up in terms of games and stuff like that. And like even Saturday there was sort of contributed to our own sort of downfall in sort of certain games. And listen, it is what it is, as some people like to say.
Yeah, it's to get to this stage of the season as well, especially in good cup runs where you've all these midweek games as well. And if you're saying that you've had a good few injuries, then you're kind of just trying to manage the squad from game to game as well. It's obviously tough.
Yeah, we listen in terms of the squad and things like that. There, like the way it's worked out for us in April now is that we really probably don't really have much excuses in terms of having Saturday, Tuesday, Thursdays. Because we've extended the season. We moved a couple of games. We moved an East Belfast game to tomorrow night after they lost to the Star, I think, in one of the competitions.
Yeah.
I think it might have been the Clarence, so that freed that up. And then we were meant to play another game for Crumlin United. We've moved that to the back end of the season, so that's freed up some time. Had we have been in a better position, we'd probably been, okay with regards to having to not play back to back in that respect. Now, obviously, we've had injuries like everyone else. Like I was on the bench on Saturday, already injured, sort of fielding 12 players here and there, having a couple of assistant managers, like probably most clubs do, on the bench, and hoping that you're praying that you don't have to use them. And then games coincide with seconds games that you can't, and they've maybe had 12 players, and you can't really take players from there because they need to field the team. So it's difficult. Gary, we don't pay players, like we pay subs. That's sort of, it limits you in terms of like your capability of bringing players in to have a massive squad. So listen, it is what it is. It's not like I get into it knowing that we'd have money or expected any sort of money or anything like that. It's just you deal with it.
Yeah, and then obviously with the semi-finals, the cup runs this year, and then even where you are in the league in general, you're still competing near the top. But take it next season, the aim will be to just go out a bit further in both the league and the cups.
Well, last year we finished second, and we were 5 points off, and it's sort of Ralph Redland probably took their foot off the pedal a wee bit, because in some of the games near the end they didn't necessarily need to win. And then sort of you go into the season with optimism. I think we win our first 5 games and stuff like that. So the ambition was for us to challenge. And I think going in the next season, that will always be the mindset, is to try to challenge. Ideally, I think I said last year to some people, maybe like some of the papers or Maxie Swain or something, they're about, you probably need them to come back to the pack a wee bit, and then you need us to make improvements. I think if we sort of were able to get another couple of bodies on board, a bit of extra quality, a bit of luck, we could go a step further and compete, and be right there at the end, rather than sort of relying on results and things, hoping to go your way. And that's sort of where we were last year.
that's sort of where we are a wee bit this year. Haven't actually got a few players in, but yeah, I think that will be the plan for next year. Is hopefully, you know, be a bit better. See where that is. If it's first, happy days. If it's not, then you just have to keep trying to get better.
Yeah, that's it. How many games you got left now?
I think we've 5 games left. We've East Belfast tomorrow night. We've still to play them twice. We've to go to Crumlin, we've to play Ralph Brennan, and then we've Lauren Tack next Saturday. So Manor Miracle needed to be first. But let's see what happens. Like, I sort of be looking in terms of, like, you know, what do we need for next year based on probably these next 5 games in terms of assessing our squad and seeing how we can get better. That's probably where we're at, if we're being totally honest. Don't think we can kid ourselves. I sort of thought, you know, finishing second last year, it sort of sent a statement that we're, you know, we're right there or whatever. But to be honest, at this stage, it nearly doesn't matter where you finish. It's not like we're going for promotion or anything like that. It's now we just gotta maybe try to bleed in a couple of youngsters, see how it goes. But again, every team now, like East Belfast, they're flying. They're probably want to try to push up the league, make a statement. But in the end, last year we made a statement, and this year it didn't really come to fruition. It didn't really mean anything unless you do the business. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Well, mate, thanks very much for coming on and speaking to me, and I wish you best of luck next season. It's a crazy thing with amateur league, especially in Premier Division. There's not many teams competing at the top, and there's only one team can obviously win it, and then you've all these cup competitions as well. So there's obviously a lot to play for next season going forward as well.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be even stronger next year. Obviously, some of the good teams coming up, and then obviously Kildare been in a sort of precarious position of, like, they've been nearly like a free hit for everyone. It's been 6 guaranteed points, and then God knows who else will go down. I don't know who will go down, but obviously Rosemount have been on a tear probably up through the leagues, and then Dromara Village have won that league pretty handy. So I would say the league's going to be even stronger next year. Let's see what happens.
Well, if you look at the 2 teams that come up last year, it just goes to show, doesn't it?
Yeah, like we played Cumber one of the first games of the season, and we beat them 1-0, and they were definitely better than us on the day, and you could sort of see that they'll probably be right up there. I would imagine they'll strengthen. They'll probably be a major contender. It's hard, probably. I don't know how many times it would have happened. The team goes from 1A and then wins the Premier. It probably has happened, but I'd say they'd be right up there. And then the usual suspects again. Let's hope we're on.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Well, here, Bruce, best of luck, mate. Thanks very much.
Worries, mate. All the best,
cheers,
guys.
thanks,
Good luck.
bye. We once again want to thank our sponsors for this episode here, Next Gen Power and Lightyear Therapy. Thanks very much for your support, guys. Really means a lot.